it's rare that I watch a movie and go, what did I just watch? Like while I'm watching it. So I'm curious how it was on the paper for my actors here. So Keith, how did you find your way into the project? And we'll go down the line.
Erica Arvold, the casting director, reached out to me and she said there are these filmmakers, these young filmmakers who are doing something, and I think you should read it. And I did, and said, where do I sign? I also was fortunate. There was a presentation that you guys had done, something, you had filmed something that was basically this concept. And was that a music video that you did?
Yeah, like a mini version of this.
A mini version of this.
Like 8 minutes.
And I saw that. And having seen that and read the script, I'd never seen anything like it. And I'd never read anything like this. And that was all I needed. Anything, I mean, it's just brand new. And I wanted to be a part of it. And 5 years ago we did this. I finally saw it for the first time myself, maybe 2.5, 3 weeks ago, something like that. I hadn't seen it before then. I'm just flabbergasted how good this is, and what you all did with necessity is the mother, as they say. And there was a lot of mothering on this in terms of having to be inventive and think of a way to do something for which there was precious little resources available. But the inventiveness that went into this, the artistry and the performances, my hat's off to everybody. I am so proud to be a part of this, I can't tell you. Yeah.
For Brendan and Jordon, how did you find your way?
This was just the classic audition process. You did a self-tape where you sang one of the songs, did 2 of the scenes.
So you had to sing as part of your audition?
Yes.
Okay.
So Nick provided basically backing tracks and then music, and turned that in as part of the audition process. And, it's like when you see a breakdown, you've got the names of the people involved in the creative team. So you Google stock, and it came across their Vimeo channel with their shorts. And then there's a TED Talk that Brandon gave about like being in a lake, wading into water covered in leeches to be able to get a specific shot. And I just needed to be a part of this. It's like you can't want an audition that badly when you're doing it. So I'm glad I watched that after I had submitted. But then we had a Zoom call as kind of like our callback. And I had no chill on that call at all. And I still wasn't like the choice, and I didn't have the job, or at least they were playing their cards very well. But I started growing the beard the day after my Zoom call with them because I wanted to be that guy. And I was like, if there's any chance I get to play that guy, I need to be ready. So
I came for the guns. It's very rare that I get an audition in my inbox where I get to shoot guns. And I saw that this had a lot of them, and I said yes. That's how it went.
You're like the singing, whatever, but...
Sing, okay, we can do that, la la la, but it's really about the guns for me.
Do you have a minimum gum waiver?
Yeah, it's in my writer, SAG-AFTRA. 5 guns minimum.
What contract is that under? Is that a
You're the
modified?
negotiator.
Okay.
There's a beautiful photo behind the scenes of our really sweet cinematographer Sam Lobster and Jordon here, and they're that big fight scene with Ty Zabine, and they're both holding these guns, like looking as tough as they can, and it's the most out of place thing you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah, honestly, if I'm gonna get an award, it's gonna be making these guys look cool, because that was hard to do, but they pulled it off.
So for Jordan, it was the guns, and for Brendan, I guess it was the beard. Keith, did you have to sing? I mean, can I just say also Academy Award winner for Best Original Song, Keith Carradine.
He didn't have to audition.
We weren't worried about
I feel so fortunate that I did not have to sing for my audition. These guys are all better singers now than I ever was. So I just hats off to you all in that regard. I mean, I can still carry a tune, but...
We're gonna.
I wasn't required to do so for my to get the gig. I think.
Send us a picture of your Oscar, and it was like, all right, that suffices.
Yeah. He didn't even sign. He just sent the picture. He just texted it.
Well, I had a couple of records they could listen to from back in the '70s when I did that, and and maybe the soundtrack from the Will Rogers Follies, things like that. So thank you. So I've done a lot of singing in the course of my 50+ years now in this business. So
I want to toss it over to our writers, director, and music director. How did this come about? I know you started with basically a short or a music video just to show it, but when you were putting this together, when you were writing it, putting it on paper, what genre did you classify
Good question.
this movie as?
I think I don't know how many years we spent trying to figure that out. Many years. Actually, this is the closest structurally to a 1990s Disney movie. Let me explain. So you know how like the movie goes and then they stop and then sing a thing and then they go Never Had a Friend Like Me or whatever. So like in our film, it kind of follows that same structure. Actually, we timed it out. Nick and I went and watched every Disney movie and charted out all the times and tried to figure out where all the music goes.
Watched all the musicals, and it was trying to figure out what kind we were making. And we had done shorts like this, and it was, I always say there's a lot of books on how to write a screenplay, but there's none on how to write a musical. And so you kind of stumble your way through this thing, and eventually we saw that I had a spreadsheet because I nerded out. I'm like, all right, all these movies, how many songs, and when did they come in, and when did they leave, and all those things. And once I had gone through Mary Poppins and Oh Brother We're Out There and all these movies, I kind of pulled up Aladdin and The Little Mermaid, and it was like, that's, I think, more structurally what we're doing. And so these two grown men sitting in our office watching Frozen and The Little Mermaid going, oh, that's the structure that we're trying to copy here. And so, yeah.
I like it. Turned out cool.
And is that how you related to your actors? You guys, this is Frozen.
This is a rated R Disney movie. Yeah.
I mean, we did. We said, to Nike, when he's saying, I've been wrong, I'm like, this is your kind of let it go moment. Like, this is you singing a thing to yourself. I know that sounds so absurd, but it really is hard to find out. Again, to not sound as pretentious as possible. There's not a lot of things like that. And so when you're doing it, you're really having to invent language to communicate this, and that was the best thing that we could do. Even when we pitched the film, it was like, yeah, it's kind of following this 90s Disney animated film structure. Yeah.
We said Mary Poppins meets Tarantino movie, so that was our pitch in the beginning.
Which went over so well.
They loved it. Yeah, that was great.
Everyone in this town that was so that plays it really risky. They never want to play it safe. Yeah.
Well, for me, it was all about family. So for the Daylong patriarch and brothers that we have here, I want to know more about forging that sort of dysfunctional chemistry that we see on screen.
Well, I'm not really there until the end. So by the time these guys came to play that scene with me, they knew very well who they were. And I did a lot of discovering who I was based on who they were to me. And, it's like tennis. You're only as good as the person on the other side of the net. And these guys hit the ball hard. So all I had to do was try to measure up. And that was kind of my task.
I mean, I will say we had the very unique pleasure of shooting in some of these craziest places in the backwoods of Georgia.
Say more.
There were a lot of Holiday Inns.
The nicest place.
This
is not us cheapening out. This was as good as it got.
I think I personally ate Waffle House twice a day. But what I will say is shooting on location was so incredible, and thank you again for giving us that amazing opportunity, that it also helped feed into the relationship dynamic between Niken, who is not here, hi Niken, and Brendan and I, because we were together all the time. We would, do a singing rehearsal or a blocking rehearsal, and then we would go out to eat. We would, try to figure out what we were going to do for the next day and try to, get into each other's heads. And then we would sit down and have a meal together. And I think that space that we shared was really, really special.
Yeah, I'll echo that. I think when you talk about the dysfunction of a family, I think in some ways dysfunction is just misexpression of love. And so I think everyone wants to be expressing themselves correctly. It's just not lining up most of the time. That's my family. Sorry, Mom. But I think that first, then you have to start with the love, and you have to start with the connection. And I think that these boys do love each other. They just have a different language for that. and it kind of ebbs and flows with each other. And to Jordan's point, we did become a family on set, and that wasn't just the three of us. That was, I think, the entire crew. I mean, just being this dance we were doing with Sam, the cinematographer, of being this extra fourth brother, basically, along this road trip with us. But even just things outside of the script. I mean, Jordan got a dog while we were filming. I put him on tape for an audition that he booked.
And then got fired from.
But
I'm coming for you, Shonda Rhimes. Don't worry.
But we were intimately inside of each other's lives for each like kind of decision making and moment, which then I think translates to on screen because we just kind of relaxed and then just said the words.
Makes it sound pretty easy, man. Just said the words, you know.
This is for our actors, but also I want Brandon I want you to chime in as director. What it was like toggling between these like super intense action scenes. Jordan, you mentioned the guns. And then having to sing and hit that note and coming in and out of that. Like, what was that like for you? Brandon, how did you direct them in what I would perceive as a really unique circumstance?
You guys had to sing it. I didn't have to sing it. You start out. I'll back clean up.
How did you direct us, Brandon?
Well, you know, honestly, the music stuff is not that hard on my side because he's done all the work. So you hit play on the song and it sounds freaking amazing. So it gets you hyped up. And so you kind of like lean into the music. We made sure that we had something, a speaker playing very loud so that they could really, we wanted them to like actually sing and you not lip sync, actually like breathe and like all that kind of stuff. But yeah, we kind of just channel into the music and just kind of pull the vibe from the music because it's just all there. It's all there already. And it's great to have something already finished and done pretty much for us to, you know, grow off of. It's great. So that was kind of, it was easy, that part. I don't know about these guys, and it was a little harder for them, but for me, I didn't sing a thing. It was great.
Well, first off, the music is incredible. Let's just say, like, Nicholas has written an incredible score, and so honestly, it was easy for us to sing good music because how many musicals do you do where the music, you know, it's tough to get through.
Look, I worked really hard on my musical, Jordan. You don't have to be mean about it.
No, you're right. But I will say, yes. But what I will say to that point as well is being able to allow the camera to let us chill out with the singing a little bit. I think like whenever you get on stage, which some of us come from a theater background, you really want to, you know, project to the back wall, and to be able to hone that in and stay in the world that these two had created was such a joy, but also felt so safe too. Those high notes really, it didn't feel like high notes. It felt like kind of like the native tongue of the backwoods of Georgia.
And they're incredible. I know this was for the cast here, but they showed up, you know, ready to go, and watching them come in there and turn into these characters and sing these things that were, you know, these. I told these guys like these were my songs, and now they're our songs, and that's such a beautiful thing to do. Like handing this thing off to someone, and they showed up and far exceeded my expectations. It was such a joy to have them in there. We had a week of rehearsal where I kind of made a record, and it was like I didn't get all the fun stuff they're talking about, the way I didn't get to do any of that. So every time we went out to eat and we hung out, I was just sitting in a studio sweating, like, all right, copping this vocal. Mackin's got to sing the first time, and it was so much work for me.
Let me just make that clear. This guy and those guys had to make an album the week before we shot. We couldn't shoot the songs without it done. So they actually had to sit in the studio and lay down the final tracks. So we had something to play a week later, which was incredible.
And I had to edit as we would go. We would be on set, and I would want to go hang out and talk. And I'm like, crap, we got to sing this song in a day. So I'd go back in the production trail and put my laptop and edit all the vocals for what the takes were. And I would try to stay a little bit ahead of them and then feed them a mix. So, okay, this is your final vocal. So just learn this. When we sing this in 2 days, this will be ready to go. And we just kind of leapfrog like that. It was a lot.
Hey guys, it was really hard. This movie was hard to make. Yeah.
One exception to that.
Yes, well,
I was not
Mr.
there for the
Carradine.
Pre-recording, and one of the, I think, really genius things that these guys did was that Nicholas and you know, I knew the song, we rehearsed it, and we were on the set right there where you see me sing it, and that's where we recorded it that day. So that was recorded live outdoors, which you can hear in that recording. And but that was also the simplest. It was just guitar and me. And he also graciously allowed me, because he had originally Nicholas's concept of the song. It was a more plaintive vocal. It was a higher pitch. And I said to him, I said, man, I don't have the highs I used to have. I'm older now.
Do any of us?
And I'd like to drop it down a bit. I'd like to sing it in a lower register. And Nicholas was completely open to that, and in fact made the adjustments so that I could sing it that way. And that's the result. And we recorded it there outdoors. It was kind of cool.
It was you know, music tends to be a spiritual experience sometimes, and it kind of felt like, I mean, we're just out in the middle of nowhere, and you know, it's whisper quiet. By the time we hit red, it's just, this is, you know, we went to the middle of nowhere and then drove another hour. That's kind of where we shot this film. And so it's just, it's unsettling to hear how quiet it was when we were recording, and you could hear us breathing in there. And I was trying to, you know, make sure I was quiet while I was playing, but it was just this, I will never forget playing that with you, and just remember thinking, like, you need to be present right now, because this is one of the coolest things you'll ever do. You're outside with this guy, and he's being so kind enough to do this. And, you know, yeah, I appreciate the kind words about that, but I sent him a video of me playing the song. I'm like, here's how it goes, you know, and he comes back and you hear him sing it, and it's like, well, that's so much better than what I had. So it doesn't matter what I wanted to do. Yours is better, you know.
I wouldn't say better. I'd just say different.
Fair enough.
A couple of you have mentioned how challenging making this movie was. So I want more examples. What was the hardest scene to film? Or what were the hardest scenes to film?
Damn car didn't work.
Yeah, the
mean,
car
it really
stopped
didn't
working
work.
day one.
Day one.
Yep. Grace
How many times
Grace's
did you have
guts
to cut
went
around
all over
that
the
door
place.
not opening?
Car. I mean, that car was, I mean, you know, every once in a while things feel like a gift from above or something, but we had written this absurd car in the screenplay. We'd written a specific year, a specific car, just because, you know, we're not car guys. We Googled, like, that one looks neat. Let's put that in there. And by the time we got this green light, we were ready to go. I'm like, we got to find this dumb car. And we, you know, you start Googling it, not realizing how rare this thing is that you've picked. And there were two in the United States. One was up in Maine, and the other one was about 45 minutes away from us. Huh. And the exact color. It was written in the screenplay. The color, the year, the model, everything. And we drove out there to pick it up and ended up buying it. And I thought, I could probably drive this back. And I drove it, and the brakes went out, and I almost killed myself in that thing. And then we thought we had it fixed. And then, no, man, that thing was, that car tried to kill us all, for sure.
It was fun though. It was too beautiful for us when we first got it. It was someone like some collector was taking care of it, so we had to exactly
Yeah, you know, all the size.
Yeah, we had to make it look like it was beat up through hell. So we all the crew and cast took turns smashing the thing to pieces.
Poor Rainey. Rainey's so small. We give her a crowbar. I mean, she's from Los Angeles, you know, and she flies out there. I'm like, here's a crowbar. Hit this car. And she's like, okay, you know. You see her just tap it. No, hit it harder. Put a hole in it, you know.
Yeah.
On the topic of Rainy, I will never forget the night that we shot The Reckoning. It was Halloween night, and it was like 0 degrees. Again, backwoods of Georgia, 0 degrees. And I, for some reason, thought I could take it, and it was getting really hard. We were shooting at like 3 a.m. I was getting, a little emotional. And Rainy, that trooper, looked at me right before he called action and was like, "It's gonna look real." And he said action, and we did it.
She's the best. I wish she was here. She was so cool, man.
Nice. There were also some really memorable one-liners. I think the one I have down here is a one-handed monkey with 2 jimmies. I don't know if that's... I don't know if was that accurate?
That is correct.
Oh, okay,
yeah, you nailed it.
Well, nice.
Tell me, what were some of your favorite one-liners?
I mean,
And who came up with them? Was
this
this
is all Brandon?
It's all Brandon. Okay.
And what's great about a Brandon McCormick script is that half of those one-liners are in the stage directions. As the dialogue goes, that is also how all the stage direction is. So you're reading this crazy backwoods novel.
For non-actors, that is not a usual thing that you would see.
It's delightful. It's an infectious read because you pick it up and you immediately know what universe you're in. For me, it will always be as sure as God's got sandals.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
We sat in a room and worked on, we put the screenplay up on the TV and just go through it, and we just would try to kind of make each other laugh, and like some of these things he would write in there, and we'd be like more, and again, Brandon is so brilliant at his screen direction. He does. We wrote so many scripts by the book, and you do that, and it's, this is how you do it. And then I think you had read a Quentin Tarantino script, and it didn't follow any of those rules. And I get it, he's Quentin, he can do what he wants, but this film was something we were going to make. This is not something we were going to go out and pitch to go make. We were doing this. I was like, well, let's do whatever we want then. And then, I was like, put more, further.
Yeah. So these guys in the South, they talk like this. This is not like I didn't make all these up. I pretty much picked these up from like in-laws and just like just the backwood. That's just how they talk. My favorite one, I didn't, but in the movie, old guy says, "Hey, I'll see you tomorrow," and the other guy goes, "Thanks for the warning." But not a movie. That's great. So I just got to collect these as I go. I hear them and I just put them in a little thing and kind of churn them up. So.
We have a journal that we keep that just has weird sayings,
just
and I'll
weird
be around
stuff,
like
yeah.
extended family. I'm like, wait, say
So
that one more time.
that one didn't make it. Is there another one that didn't make it?
Oh, probably something I can't repeat. There's too many. It's too many to count.
I love that we had, when Abe is on top of the car and Frankie's in there and he's pouring the gas on her. He says, "But we will light you up like Christmas." And that whole scene when they get done, I think you had, what was it, about Nero or something like that, and we changed it to Sherman because we're in the South, and that was one of our fun little lines we threw in there.
Keith, you've been in this game for a minute.
Yeah.
So you talked about how unique this project was. That's what made you sign on. So at this point in your career, is that what you look for in your roles, the roles that you?
I'm looking to not repeat. I just don't want to repeat. I want to be challenged, and it's getting harder and harder to find that as somebody at my level, sort of middle echelon, and 75 years old now. So I look forward to things that when I read.
Academy Award winner.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Middle
Easy.
echelon.
You're only as good as your last hit. I just want to be challenged. I want to do stuff that makes me pay attention. Wait a second, what is this? And that was what this was for me when I read it. I'd never read anything like it, and that's what I look for. I look to be given something to do that I haven't been given to do before, and I know that I have a body of work that people will look at and say, well, he would be good at this, and I would rather people look at it and say, well, he'd be terrible at this, and then hire me anyway. You know what I'm saying? I mean, yeah. Oh, he's totally wrong for this. Great, give me a shot. Let me do something I'm really wrong for, and let me try and prove you're wrong about that. That's what I look for.
There was a beautiful moment when these guys were in Pursuing the Hard. Our cinematographer threw out his back. And Brandon took up the camera one day on the biggest action day and filmed how many? 70?
Yeah, 76 shots in a day.
Like, he just went crazy. And in the middle of that is when Keith showed up, and our producing partner called me and said, "Hey, Keith wants to kind of meet you and go over this stuff." And I was like, "See you guys later." Good luck with all that. And we met. And when we met, you said the same thing again, and it was so humbling. You just said, "I've read screenplays every day my whole life, and I've never read anything like this before." And I was really proud of Brandon and myself for coming up with something that just felt original in a world of sequels and reboots all the time. Like, well, we're going to make something that's at least for us,
And looking at it now, I'm so happy I did this because it's such a glamour part, I don't think I've ever looked better.
Nicholas, I feel like you want to add to that. You had something? No. Okay. We have a question from the audience. This is for the cast, but I think anyone can chime in here. There were so many crazy scenes. Which one was your favorite? And you all sort of answered this a little bit already, and which is the most challenging to shoot or prepare for?
Every day was amazing. I have no. This to me exhibits everything that I love about acting, everything I've always wanted to do with film. Working with filmmakers that are taking bold risks, making something that is completely different, could be a completely bad idea, but who cares? Let's make it.
How about your knee? That was pretty hard.
Well, that was bad. I busted my knee one day and couldn't walk for a minute.
Busted your knee.
But I don't know. Like, it's a gift to work. And there's no place I'd rather be than on a film set, especially with artists that are also taking their big shot.
And to that as well, I think being given pieces like this as an actor, we're at SAG. I think as a queer actor myself, being able to be seen past who you are and see the humanity behind that, I think is something that is so rare in our times, and people get so stuck in labels, and it does take risk. It does take a little bit of searching for that humanity in someone, and that is ultimately the opportunity that they really gave us on set, and so grateful for that.
Yeah, I mean, their auditions, I can't begin to describe how, casting a movie is difficult, and you have the width and breadth of humanity, and then you got to start narrowing it down, and then once you get it so specific, and then you go, oh, and they have to sing, and because we don't have a huge budget, they have to sing in this key. I'm not going to go redo this. And so you see these auditions come in, and there wasn't a ton, and it was because Erica did such a great job of kind of whittling down. She's like, these are the ones I want you to see, and I mean, specifically these two guys, I gave them the hardest thing. Here it is. Here's your hardest part. So come with that. If you can do this, you can do the rest. And both of these guys, you press play on it, and Jordon has these eyes. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. I start leaning in, and then I hope he can sing. We watched their scenes first, and it's like, boy, I hope I start. You start leaning in. I'm like, oh, this is really good. Please, God, can he sing? Please sing. And and then he does his little bit, and I knew immediately. I mean, all arrogance aside, within 3 seconds, I was like, "Yep, right, I don't have to hear anymore." I just knew it. And both these guys, they sang the hardest part. They sang their guts out, and it was an immediate, "Yep."
That's not true. I saw Brendan's audition. So I write this character. I write this like menacing character, and then Brendan is like, "Hey y'all, what am I doing?" And I'm like, "That's not Ish. That's not what he sounds like." And then I'm thinking about it. It's like, oh, could he sound like that? I think he might actually sound like that. Holy shit, this is actually brilliant. And I loved it. And he brought the character and added so much to it. So everyone else was a no-brainer. Brendan completely convinced me, and I was sold. I loved it. So
we said this, and we did a podcast. It was like, I know that guy. I grew up with some, I was always just kind of a suburban kid, but I went to school. There's plenty of country boys in there, and I'm like, I just know that weird high pitched country strong thing. They always kind of scare me a little bit. And Brendan hit that, and I was like, I know exactly who this is. It took a second because you were expecting this kind of dark, menacing thing, and then when he did that, the more I watched his audition, I was like, God, this is freaking really cool, really cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
Now your voice just will narrate my inner monologue just going forward, just to let you know. Before we clear the stage for a special performance by Keith, I want us to really go down real quickly, based on your experience with this movie, which is so unique. What's some advice that you can impart for your fellow actors? We're in an audience of your peers.
Best advice I ever got was from my old late friend, Robert Altman, who said to me, "Kid, I want to give you some advice." I said, "Yeah, what's that?" He said, "Don't ever take advice from anybody." Next.
I guess in the spirit of kind of undermining advice, I think we get told a lot as actors to make your own work, make your own stuff, go, make. But I think that's, at least in my experience, can be a very isolating experience, and a lot of expectations that are outside of what we even want to be doing. And I think it's less about go make your own little isolated thing, and more find the people you want to make with, find your community, collaborate. Because again, from the moment that I saw their work, I wanted to be a part of their work. And I've met so many artists in this city that I have had that same experience with. So I think it's less about making it for you and making it together.
I would say no one will believe in your work as much as you do. And so do the work that it takes to believe in that work, and then you will find the people who you are meant to make that work with.
That was good.
Thank you.
I don't know. I really crave authenticity, and believe it or not, that weird movie is just kind of who we are. I think even one of the questions I saw was like, how do you define this, or how did you come up with this? It was like, the answer is, I could give a pretentious answer and be an artist, and there's a lot of depth to why it is, but honestly, it's just kind of what we do. And so to anyone out there, like, make your movie. Go write, everyone, it'd be great to have 4-quadrant hit, right, and make $100 million, but like, this is an art form, and the world is on fire right now, and we need art, and we need stories from people, so make the thing that doesn't exist unless you make the thing.
Yeah, and make the thing you want to see. I mean, really, this was, for us, this was like, it didn't exist, so we wanted to make it exist because I wanted to watch that movie. I think it's cool, like, fun. And the other thing, too, is, like, when you take risks, you risk looking stupid, right? So, like, we're pitching Southern Gothic musical that doesn't go great in a pitch meeting. It's kind of weird, and it could be really lame. It could, like, be really stupid and suck. Maybe it is. I don't know. I like it. It turned out pretty cool. But yeah, you just kind of have to risk being stupid and looking like a fool to go do something crazy. And then, ironically, if you do it right, it turns out pretty cool. So, but if you try to be cool, it doesn't really work that well, I think. Don't be cool.
I'm with Nicholas. We need art more than ever right now. Thank you so much, and we're going to clear the stage for a special performance.
Right on. I want to say thank you for this opportunity. This has been a wonderful experience, and thank you, Keith, for being willing to do this with us and willing to sing this song, because you're the man.
Thank you for taking a chance on me. I could have screwed it up bad. I got a weight I cannot hold. It pulls from deep within my soul. I tried letting go, but it's taken hold. I can't lay this burden down. I can't lay my burden down. There's pressure building in my bones. I fear they'll break before I'm old. Lord, I'm begging, please, you send me to my knees. I can't lay this burden down. I can't lay my burden down. My debt I pay with gold. My blood, my fate are bought and sold. No matter what I try, I can't escape the fire. I can't lay this burden down. I can't lay my burden down. Thank you all for coming.